Okay, load. Hello, Dragon's Kilt. Hi, a wild yummy. I'm trying to get my TikTok studio loaded up now. It's being slow. There it goes. There. Okay. All right, TikTok's up. We'll get going. That's crazy, Lynette. Placenta stuffed with olives. Hi, Moth. Jesus Christ. Who are you? What have you sacrificed? Jesus Christ, superstar. Do you think you're what they say you are? Ew, placenta pot pie is crazy, Peter. We're just going to keep with the Jesus theme this morning and start with some Jesus Christ Superstar to get our day going. I don't consent to this music. I know, but it was like disco. It was 1973. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Who are you? What have you sacrificed? I'm so sorry to YouTube and Twitch that you can't hear the music. Again, I will apologize for that every day, but you have good imaginations. It ends abruptly because Jesus is getting crucified. Anyway, welcome in this morning or this afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. I appreciate you guys being here today on this Thursday. It's Thursday, right? Jesus, I hope it is. Okay, it is. It's Thursday. Thank you guys so much. If we could tap that screen over here on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, if you could hit that like button, that would be great. But over here on TikTok, tap the screen, share the live, do your daily heart me if you have not done so. I would appreciate it very, very much. I have the 20 little roses. Those gift goals do help push us onto the algorithm, so that we can hopefully have conversations. If we don't have conversations, I can't speak today. That's fine. I have an entire outline that I know I will not get through today. Hopefully we can round it about and get it through tomorrow, but the news never stops, so I always have more shit to talk about. I have my 100 goal that I have every single day. This is my job. This is what I do for a living, so I would appreciate it if you guys could tip your content creators, the people that you support. If you can help us pay our bills, that would be wonderful as well. I have the pay links, the Cash App, the Venmo, the PayPal. All of those are in my bio, in my link tree. If you could help out with that, that would be great. Is Feisty in here? Are you in here yet, Feisty? Because I saw it earlier, but I wanted to save it until we were in here. If not, I will thank you at the end, because I always thank you multiple times throughout the live. Feisty, thank you so much for the 10 on the blue app with the big red heart. Thank you so much. Hi, Adi. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 10. Guys, that is how we're starting our day, which is fantastic. So W's to Feisty. That brings us down to 90 to start our day. So thank you, guys. If you worship white Jesus, you pay me $500. You don't know how much $500 would help me. I make Trumpers mad for a living. Yeah, pretty much. I don't even have to do very much. I just kind of have to sit here and they get mad at me. It's a pretty fun experience sometimes. But on that note, we can get started this morning. Why am I still paying taxes? Because there's not enough people to boycott to make a difference right now, unfortunately. You would have to have a mass boycott of taxes for it to actually do anything in this, to mean anything in this economy. Okay. So I said we were going to go over. It actually didn't end up having to be as in-depth as I thought it was going to have to be, so that's good. Going over the Senate Judiciary hearing about, they talked about a lot of stuff. Ted Cruz chaired it, and he talked a lot about 2020. I don't know why you guys lived and died in 2020 and in 2022. But we're going to start out with the fact that Durbin is going to take a shot at Cruz. So Senator Dick Durbin takes a shot at Ted Cruz for calling this hearing in and of itself, because I don't know why we're talking about the past instead of actually helping the constituents. And that's what Dick Durbin wants to know, too. Let me make sure that I did unmute you guys. I did. Cool.
The American people face real challenges from citizens being summarily executed for exercising their First Amendment rights, into the skyrocketing price of the cost of living under this administration. This hearing will not help a single person other than Donald Trump, and the Republican majority should do better for their constituents. A senator from Texas should know a dead horse when he sees one. This hearing is an attempt to throttle a dead horse to a gallop. There aren't enough giddy-ups in the world to accomplish that goal. I yield.
For a Chicago man, that was an awful lot of rodeo references.
The American
I didn't hear his response last time I listened to it. That's funny. My God. Okay. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about the important things. Ted Cruz is going to talk to us about the important stuff.
In 2020, Biden's FBI met with Senators Johnson and Grassley in an effort to throw off their investigation into the now infamous Hunter Biden laptop, calling the laptop...
Oh, that helps the American people. It is. Legislative branch is so unserious. Really? We're really talking about Hunter Biden's laptop right now? It is fucking 2026. Jesus, get new talking points.
Disinformation, a claim we now know was false.
That's not what anybody said. What they said was that they could not verify the chain of command. And even the FBI said this, that they couldn't verify the chain of command. Therefore, they could not verify all of the things that were on the hard drive of the laptop. Because guess what? Rudy Giuliani had it. I wish you guys would stop rewriting history. I wish you guys would pay attention. Because that's what it was. It wasn't that the laptop wasn't real. It was that they could not confirm the chain of custody. Cool. Glad we got that. But why are we talking about that in March of 2026? I don't know. But it's okay. He's going to try and reprimand the Democratic Party by comparing the Republican response to Nixon, which is going to be an interesting thing in and of itself, I think.
And if Watergate taught us anything, it is that even a single abuse of power carried out by a handful of individuals can shake the foundations of our republic. But what we confront today, the Biden administration's Arctic frost scheme, is not a single act. It is a modern Watergate. And if Watergate taught us...
I thought I had it as part of this clip, but in there he talks about the fact that Republicans specifically were the ones who went against Nixon. And why can't the Democrats speak up against their own party doing corrupting things? Don't know what the fuck he's talking about because Arctic Frost was not a corruption scheme. But the interesting part about that is that Republicans didn't initially go against Trump. That's the thing. Here is, it took quite a lot. It took like the, what was it called? The Saturday Massacre. It took actual recordings coming out. Deep Throat, yes, that was his name. The whistleblower Deep Throat coming out and actually revealing all of these things. Most of the Republicans initially dismissed Woodward and Bernstein for just being journalists on a witch hunt. This was a witch hunt against the President of the United States with Watergate, and they supported him 100%. It wasn't until further evidence came out that they went against him. So again, this rewriting of history that Republicans actually had principles and held their stances and went up against Nixon and Watergate is not true. So much so that here is Republican Vice President at the time, Gerald Ford, defending Nixon. And let me get the dates for you, because this interview was done with Gerald Ford July 12th of 1974. Nixon resigned August 8th. So this is less than a month later. But the entire time, Gerald Ford is going to defend Nixon and say he shouldn't resign. So again, the whole point is that Ted Cruz is lying to you about the Democrats or the Republicans having a spine and actually standing up to what was going on with Watergate. They don't stand up for the things they think are wrong. We saw that again with January 6th when everybody spoke against Trump, Republicans included, and yet fell on their knees for him again.
I don't subscribe to the view that they are significantly damaging to the president. There are some differences, but even if you assume those...
Yes, real Trump, I'm talking about Nixon because Ted Cruz is talking about Nixon. I don't want to talk about Nixon. Ted Cruz brought it up in a Senate Judiciary hearing on the 23rd.
Differences are accurate. In my judgment, they aren't sufficient from the point of view of evidence to justify an impeachment vote against the president.
It is, though, isn't it, significant, or maybe you feel it isn't so significant, that he actually uses the word cover-up, that for the first time we seem there to have the president somehow linked to the words cover-up.
Well, I think you have to take the context of all of the tapes. Yes, you can extract a word or a sentence or maybe a paragraph in a whole mass of conversation, but I don't think that word or that sentence is adequate to justify an impeachment. You have to take the total of the evidence if you're going to impeach a president. And when you take the total evidence from the transcripts, the tapes, and the other evidence, in my judgment, there isn't sufficient evidence to justify an impeachment.
There's not too much wrong with America at the moment, but still people say, don't they, I've heard it suggested among members of Congress, that the best solution out of this whole Watergate problem would be if the president were to step down and to hand over to you.
aside from my involvement, I think it would be the wrong thing for the president to do. The president believes he's innocent. If he were to resign, it would be by indirection, if not otherwise, an admission of guilt. I believe the president's innocent of any impeachable offense. I don't think the evidence is there to convict him. Under those circumstances, in my judgment, it would be a very, very bad thing from the point of view of America, and I think the world, if President Nixon should resign.
Could I ask you?
I don't need to play the whole thing. The point, again, this is less than a month before Nixon resigns. The point is that Ted Cruz is talking about this in March of 2026 and lied about it. I found the actual clip that I had wanted.
50 years ago, this nation was confronted with an abuse of power. And it responded not with indifference, but with accountability. And I'll tell you one of the big differences of Watergate versus Arctic Frost. When Richard Nixon and his corrupt attorney general and his corrupt administration abused their law enforcement powers to go after their political opponents, Republican senators stood up to the president of their own party.
No, they didn't. Barry Goldwater defended him almost to the end. That is not true.
And defended the rule of law.
No, they didn't.
Where is even a single Democrat senator who has said one word about this abuse of power?
What about Arctic Frost was an abuse of power? Can anybody tell me? What about Arctic Frost was an abuse of power?
Is there not one? There are 47 Democrats in this body. Is there not one who can come forward and say, you know what? Turning the Department of Justice into the Oppo research and attack machine of the DNC is not what the DOJ is supposed to be. We were tested then, and there was accountability. We are being tested again now.
Do you guys even know what Arctic Frost was? Or do you just listen to the talking points that you're given and say, thank you, Daddy, give me another? I don't think you actually pay attention to them. So then Dick Durbin is going to say, if we're here for Arctic Frost and we're here for Jack Smith, yeah, Kat, I agree. Merrick Garland was a fucking piece of shit. Dick Durbin's going to respond. If it's so bad, why aren't we bringing Jack Smith in to testify under oath then?
Well, we make sure that that meeting of the Judiciary Committee is public so America...
Guys, while we're sitting here, there's 105 of you over here on TikTok. If we could tap that screen, I do like to get to 50,000 likes before the top of the hour, which is 11 a.m. Mountain Time for me. So we should get to about 25,000 likes by 10:30 in about 10 or 12 minutes, excuse me. So if we could tap that screen really hard, try and get those likes up, I would appreciate it. Fill that little red bar up that shows up for you, and I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
can witness the questions and answers. Would that be of value?
After all of those documents have been released, yes.
Oh, you wouldn't want to testify, you wouldn't want to question him until all the documents have been released?
The relevant documents that are hidden and prohibited access, absolutely need those before you question him.
That may be a luxury which most attorneys and others would not have access to.
Well, they shouldn't have been hidden in the first place.
Well, it isn't a question of hiding as much as legal access. The point I'm getting to is that for the last...
So what they're talking about, what I assume they're talking about right now, since they're talking about Jack Smith and Arctic Frost, is going to be the fact that the case that Jack Smith was, some of the case that Jack Smith was bringing, they were in different states. So you have issue with things like the classified documents case that was in Florida. That judge that was assigned for that case is Eileen Cannon, which was a Trump appointee. Now, them being appointed by a certain person doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be all for them. I've seen Trump appointees who actually rule against the Trump administration. However, Eileen Cannon is not one of them. Eileen Cannon is a MAGA taint Glazer to the core. And so she herself determined, which she doesn't have the right to do, that Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional and illegal. And there are specific documentation that she is refusing. Yeah, she's an obstructionist for sure. She is refusing to release. So there's documentation we can't see because she's refusing to release it. I have some of that intel on that later in the show today as well.
6 months, the Democrats on this committee have said to the Republicans on this committee, bring Jack Smith into this room, sit him down in front of that microphone, put him under oath, and ask whatever questions you have. All these assertions, the bill of particulars has been issued by some of the witnesses today, would have to be confronted by him directly, under oath, in a public hearing for the America to see. Of course, any lawyer who's been on a law school more than 15 minutes know that there's value to the circumstances of asking those questions. But they won't do it. For 6 months, the Republican majority wants to hear hearing after hearing of what's wrong with Jack Smith, and the one person they should ask that of directly, Jack Smith, they won't call before this committee.
Why won't they call him? Like, bring him in. I have no problem with that. Scrutinize the fuck out of him. Bring him in under oath and ask him questions. Don't talk about him. Don't talk around him. Bring him in and ask him.
What are we waiting for? If this is worse than Watergate, as some senators have asserted, isn't it about time that we get to the primary source, Jack Smith under oath, under penalty of criminal perjury or perjury, if he fails to testify? I don't get it. What are they waiting for? They'd rather have the hearings than have the answers. And that, to me, doesn't help. Mr.
And he's right. It's not doing anything if you're not actually asking the person. Maybe this is why. Because here's some reporting from MS Now about some of the information in regards to the classified documents case specifically. Remember, Jack Smith was in charge of 2 different cases, and here's the one of the classified documents case. Maybe this is why they don't want to talk to him.
MS Now reports many of the documents related to then-candidate Trump's business interests, which Jack Smith's investigators believed was a likely motive for why he kept them at Mar-a-Lago, according to newly released case records. And one of the documents Trump held on to was so sensitive, only 6 people in the country had the authority to review it.
Could that be why? Maybe? Maybe it's because it benefited his business. Now, does anybody remember? We have to go through this history because my God. Does anybody remember the classified documents case and what the fucking problem was? I know what you guys like to respond with. Your response is, what about? We can get into the what about in a minute. But can we remember the initial? How many times did NARA... Yeah, exactly, Z-Spark. Trump wouldn't return them. How many times did NARA ask for them back? Because the classified documents don't belong to any president. They belong to the people. The National Archives is in charge of them. And they said, hey, we've gone through our list. We're now cataloging, taking inventory, and we've noticed that there's some that are missing. Do you happen to have these? And Trump said, no, I don't have any documents. I don't have anything. They're like, oh, okay. And they go back and they're like, no, you have to have these. Do you have them? And he's like, no, I don't have them. And they did this again. They gave him a couple more times where they asked him for the documents back, and they were like, we don't have them. So then NARA went to the FBI and they said, hey, look, we've asked for these documents back. Here's a list of everything that's missing. And so the FBI was like, look, NARA called us. They say you have these documents. We have the list of what you have. I need you to give these back. And they were like, oh, okay. Well, since the FBI is involved, here, we'll give you these back. They gave them some documents back. And NARA's like, okay, well, this isn't everything. You guys, there's more than this. And the FBI goes back to Trump and his team and says, hey, you guys have more stuff. NARA says you need to give it back. And they're like, no, we gave you everything. And the FBI says, no, you didn't. You have to sign this certified letter that now you've given everything back. So what Trump did is he had one of his lawyers sign a certified letter to the FBI and NARA that said, here's the rest of it. It's all of it. We promise. FBI gives it to NARA and NARA says, hey, that's not everything. We're still doing this. It's not everything. Here's the list. We're missing stuff. And so there was also a whistleblower within Trump's team, I guess. He wasn't president at the time, but within Trump's team, who was like, yeah, they didn't give you everything. But here's some pictures of where it all is at Mar-a-Lago. And so, because of that, the FBI went in and raided Mar-a-Lago and found the rest of the documentation. Donald Trump did not get in trouble for having the documents. He got in trouble for willfully retaining them after NARA asked for them back. Again, you guys, what about Biden? What about Mike Pence? Biden called NARA and said, hey, I think there might be stuff I'm not supposed to have. Can you please come to my home and come to the office at the university and go check and take whatever the fuck I'm not supposed to have? Mike Pence called NARA and said, hey, will you come and make sure I don't have anything that I'm not supposed to have? Come and take it. That's the difference. The difference is they said, come get it. Trump said, I gave it to you. I don't have it. But he did have it. He said it on tape that he had it. Yeah, there's still documents missing. The only reason this case didn't go through is Eileen Cannon delayed it to the point that he was then elected as president. That's it. Because the defense switched from... his defense was never that he didn't do something wrong. It was always that he could do this. But per the law, he could not.
Back with us, one of the reporters who broke this story, Jackie Alamany. Jackie, walk us through this new information. What did the new case records reveal?
Yeah, and as actually a very interesting disclosure that we got last night. We were able to review a 2023 prosecution memo, a progress memo that Jack Smith had authored in 2020.
Cyclone, I agree. Giving something back is irrelevant to whether somebody was allowed to take something in the first place. I agree with you. They're not really allowed to take those things. But, you know, I would say that sometimes shit gets boxed up that they're not supposed to have, which is why NARA gives them kind of the grace period of like, hey, we are going through our archives and realize you still have this stuff. That's why they give that grace period. That's not what he got in trouble for. He got in trouble for willful retention was the crime. That was the motive, was willful retention. Is after NARA came to him and said, give this stuff back, he refused to. And so much so that he lied. This is not, yes, it's not. They are sourcing the fact that there's documentation that he kept specifically for business.
About those three items that you just listed, where Smith essentially concluded that Trump was largely driven by primary motivation connected to his business interests with regards to him taking hundreds and thousands of classified documents from the White House to Mar-a-Lago after his presidency. These documents came because the Justice Department actually accidentally released them to House and Senate Republicans as a part of this operation called Arctic Frost, which is essentially a reframing of Jack Smith's election case.
My point, just in case, is that why don't you guys care about investigating his crimes? Why don't you guys care? Why have you guys never cared? That would be what my question is. Hello, work wife. Hi. Guys, make sure we're tapping that screen, sharing the live out. I have 9-0 left in my goal. There's 129 of you on TikTok. There's 100 of you over on YouTube and about my loyal 2 of you over on Twitch. If we could do a dollar train, we'd be well beyond that goal. My link tree is in my bio on all of those platforms. If we could do that, which speaking of, I am multi-streaming. So if you guys would like to watch me on Twitch or YouTube, you are welcome to do so. Over on Twitch, we do have free follows, but there is also subscriptions. You can subscribe with Prime. If you pay for Prime, you can get a free Prime sub for the month, and you can sub to me. There's also bits and fun little things over there. And if you are on YouTube, you can subscribe for free, or there are memberships. There are super chats, jewels, donations, fun stuff over there as well. So then they really have their panties in a twist for the fact that very specific people's phones, they call it tapping. They weren't tapped. And actually there is a Republican on Fox that I'll play right after this, who will tell you that their phones weren't tapped. Their phone records were subpoenaed legally. Legally, Their phone records were subpoenaed. People like Lindsey Graham, who was very upsetty spaghetti about that, tried to sue us and our taxpayer money about the fact that he had a legal subpoena for his phone records. People like Josh Hawley, people like Ted Cruz, their phone records were subpoenaed during the time of January 6th. Why? Because a lot of them were in contact with Donald Trump, with his administration, and with some of the people who were involved in creating the fake elector scheme in 2020 to try and ensure his win. So, Ted Cruz is going to bring up a hypothetical about if it was on the other side. If Democrats' phone records were subpoenaed, you're going to hear somebody in the background say, like, if it was lawful, because guess what? It was a legal subpoena. But he doesn't care about that because he just wants you guys to clutch your pearls and be like, how dare they?
Senator Menendez is...
Oop, you can't see him, which is probably for the better. But, you know, it's easier to focus. Jump scare.
Senator Menendez is currently incarcerated in prison for corruption. And if you've got evidence of criminal conduct of one individual, the Department of Justice has an obligation to investigate that. Would you agree that's qualitatively different than a fishing expedition targeting 20% of the Republicans in the Senate? Would you agree that's qualitatively different?
I'm not familiar with the details of either investigation, so I wouldn't want to speculate.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you be troubled if tomorrow the Trump Department of Justice issued a subpoena for the phone records of every Democrat that sits on the Judiciary Committee?
Not if it was based on factual evidence, specific and articulable facts.
Well, let me be clear. I'd be damn troubled.
Of course you would be troubled because you're doing something wrong. Yeah, Rob, also there is that argument. If you are in a seat of Congress, are your phone records private because you are a public official? That's a fair argument in court.
And that would be an abuse of power. And I'm going to predict...
No, it's not. Why do you think that you get to be protected just because you work in Congress? That's the whole problem. That was the problem with this idea of a lawsuit. If you can sue the DOJ, any law enforcement agency, for legally subpoenaing your phone records, that means so can every American. You guys were being investigated for doing some fuck shit. I don't have the videos, but I can find them really easily if you need me to. Josh Hawley literally on January 19th did an interview. No, not January 19th, excuse me, January 5th, did an interview on Fox the night before January 6th, where they said, well, tomorrow, the host said tomorrow they will certify the election for Joe Biden. And Josh Hawley said, we'll see. Yeah, I would want to subpoena your phone records. Because what do you mean, we'll see?
Single Democrat's going to say even a word about the abuse of power on their side, and that double standard is trouble.
It wasn't an abuse of power to legally subpoena their phone records. I don't know what world Republicans live in. Let me find that clip. Oh, it was January 4th that they asked him. Excuse me, I had it incorrect. Let me bring that up for you guys.
I want to pin you down on what you're trying to do. You know, are you trying to say that as of January 20th, that President Trump will be president?
Well, that depends on what happens on Wednesday. I mean, this is why we have the debate.
No, it doesn't.
This is why
I mean,
we
the
have the vote.
Even Brett Baier at the time is like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't depend on what happens on Wednesday, because on Wednesday, Joe Biden's getting certified.
By the Constitution, say they certify the election. They did certify it. By the Constitution, Congress doesn't have the right to overturn the certification, at least as most experts read it.
Well, Congress is directed under the 12th Amendment to count the electoral votes. There's a statute that dates back to the 1800s, rather, 19th century, that says that there is a right to object, there's a right to be heard, and there's also a certification
right,
process.
That's from 1876, Senator, and it's
right.
the Tilden-Hayes race, in which there were 3 states that did not certify their electors. So Congress was left to come up with this system, this commission, that eventually got to a negotiated grand bargain. But now all of the states have certified their elections as of December 14th. So it doesn't, by constitutional ways, open a door to Congress to overturn that, does it?
Well, no, I'm talking about the statute, Brett. There's a statute that says, that governs what Congress does on January the 6th, and it says that we have a vote of certification and that we have the opportunity to debate the results, to certify the results. We count them and then we certify.
So what he's talking about, which is what happened before the attack and after, because Mike Pence actually stood up and said, we are not delaying this another day. We are going to finish this shit tonight. I remember, because as a person in Colorado, I watched until about 2 or 3 in the morning while they finished. And yet they still objected, which they're allowed to do. It's stupid, but they're allowed to do it. Democratic senators have done it. You can do Bush Gore, all the way back to Bush Gore. But Republican senators were objecting to the certification of the ballots in their states. Okay? They're allowed to do that. What they're not allowed to do is then just pretend like that actually means something. They do a small debate back and forth between them and their, which Bush Jr., Gore Bush. And then you still get the certification. It would go back to your state, where your state just goes, okay, I don't know why you sent this to me. This goes back to Congress, and it still would be certified. All they were doing was trying to delay it, but the problem is he's talking as if they could change it, which is why he was being investigated, which is why he legally had his phone records subpoenaed to ensure and to question whether he was speaking to the very people that were involved in promoting fake electors in certain states. They sent fake electors with fake documents of certified votes that they were trying to push in to claim he won. Josh Hawley was one of them.
And my point is, this is my only opportunity during this process to raise an objection and to be heard. I don't have standing to file lawsuits.
No. You were a congressperson. You were a senator. But you don't get to cry now that you said shit like that on TV and then you got investigated with your phone records. Here is John Solomon. He is a speaker on, he's a commentator, political commentator on Fox News. And he actually does, as much as he is a Republican, he does correct the record, because Lindsey Graham has been using words like wiretap, phone tapping, and that's not what happened at all. What is happening? Okay. Whatever. I guess since we're canceling my husband, we'll bring him up. But they've been using the words wiretapping, phone tapping. That's not what's happening. Wiretapping and phone tapping is when they're listening in on your phone calls. There's been no evidence of that. All they did, again, was subpoena the records for a specific period of time in January. So this is John Solomon correcting that record on Fox for you Republicans.
Chairman Chuck Grassley. One final note, just want to real quickly mention, I heard the word wiretap a lot today during the hearing. I have not been able to confirm any wiretap on Susie Wiles' phones. There would be a Title III notification she would eventually get. No evidence that ever came. I'm not even sure that a phone call was recorded yet. Not been able to confirm.
Thank you,
this. I just want to caution people on the use of the term wiretap, because my reporting, I've not been able to confirm it, and there are possible other explanations for what happened there. That said, the fact that they were monitoring or looking at Susie Wiles, Kash Patel, anyone, that's what raises so much concern. They were spying on the opposition.
Well, I appreciate the update. I mean,
They weren't spying on the opposition. They were subpoenaing the phone records of the people possibly involved in a coup. No, they don't cry about Fox News when I play Fox. They cry about MS Now, they cry about CNN, but they don't cry about Fox News, which is interesting. I wonder why that is, Lynatti. So in that same vein, I'm going to go through some of the, this is the fired FBI agent. You saw him just a moment ago talking to Ted Cruz in regards to the phone calls. But here is fired FBI agent Chris O'Leary. He made an opening statement about Patel and his use of retribution within the industry. Why did you make yourself big screen? Oh my God. What are you doing, husband? No? Okay. Whoops. Why was it shady, John? Why was it shady? Why was it shady to subpoena the phone records of the people who may have been involved in a coup? Can you? I'm legitimately asking. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm legitimately asking. It's the whole reason I have a phone number up, which you guys can call and we can have conversations with factual evidence and not your feelings. Saying it was shady behavior sounds like an opinion and feelings. You have to pay for a 24-hour shun. I don't know who did that.
Why did that fall?
You hooked teacup too long.
Oh shit, I forgot. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you guys can't tell me? Okay. Nope, we'll keep him up.
Allegation that the FBI has engaged in broad, coordinated conspiracies to investigate individuals based on political affiliation.
John, you said just the way it came about appears shady to me. How did it come about? My God. They appointed a special prosecutor to investigate the fake elector scheme, possible fake elector scheme in 2020. How else did it come about?
Has engaged in broad, coordinated conspiracies to investigate individuals based on political affiliation or ideology are inconsistent with my experience and unsupported by evidence or reason. Yet the absence of credibility to these claims has not deterred Director Kash Patel from pursuing what can only be understood as a campaign of retribution against his own personnel. When agents and analysts are removed not for misconduct, but for their lawful participation in duly authorized investigations, the conclusion that such actions are politically driven is self-evident. This form of retaliation against the dedicated professionals of the FBI has eroded trust in leadership, damaged morale, introduced uncertainty across the workforce, and disrupted the continuity of ongoing operations. Allegation that the FBI has engaged in broad, coordinated conspiracies to investigate individuals based on...
I didn't mean to play it over, sorry. It's not, but that's not, okay. Okay, I just wanted to look it up real quick because that's fine. So you said alternate electors, not alternate electors. What you would have is discretion of electors. So electors who have been certified electors, these are people who have the votes, can take those electoral votes and choose to put them onto somebody else. That's not what you had here, though. You had fake electors. These people were falsely certified. They weren't actual certified electors. I don't think you guys understand that that's the difference. You guys still are living in conspiracy theory land. So then Senator Whitehouse is going to talk here about how the FBI has lost agents, lost money with firings, and how they're not doing their job.
Here's what has happened at the FBI since President Trump took office. The FBI has lost at least...
He canceled today's show, Amy? Oh, I hope everything's okay. If there was some sort of family emergency or something, I hope he was okay. I hope it was just Peepaw being Peepaw and not anything crazy. But if you are coming over here from RTP, over here on YouTube, I do appreciate you guys coming over here. Yeah, appreciate you.
300 agents working on national security matters, transferred agents out of the domestic terrorism operations section, disbanded the Foreign Influence Task Force, and instructed joint terrorism task forces to work on immigration cases. At DOJ, more than 6,000 employees have left. The National Security Division has lost up to 1/3 of its leadership, half the line prosecutors in the counterterrorism section, and half the workforce in the counterintelligence section.
That can't be good. There's no way that it is good for our country for us to lose half of our counterterrorism prosecutors, is it?
Nope.
Klepto capture, kleptocracy team, and kleptocracy asset recovery initiative disbanded. That's not good.
None of it's good.
Thought we were for law enforcement over here on MAGA. I guess not.
Law and order? Isn't that their thing?
Yeah.
Attorney General Bondi disbanded DOJ's Task Force Capture, Kleptocracy Team, and Kleptocracy Asset Recovery Initiative. It is the same story throughout the...
Don't you love how Ted Cruz isn't paying attention at all? He's just on his phone. Because he's a piece of shit.
He knows what he's there for. He's just there to continue to glaze Trump. Because he thinks that he's on Trump's really good side. And people will elect him for the possible primary for the Republican Party.
It was an entire Senate Judiciary hearing about fucking Arctic frost in 2020. What the fuck are we doing? So yeah, Senator Whitehouse is going to talk about the real shit, which is that we're here to talk about the FBI. What the fuck is this?
Administration where conspiracy theories and obsessions with revenge are decimating the career law enforcement who protect us against national security threats.
He's nicer than I was. I would purposely take Cruz's phone and put it in my hand so he has to sit and look at what I have in front of me.
That's why you can't be in Congress.
No, not right now. Maybe ever.
See, here's the thing. I know there's this whole fight back. I want them to fight back with what they're able to do. Again, the Democrats can't do much right now. But I don't want it to devolve. The whole reason was it was supposed to be people who represent us in a professional way. I don't want the brawl that everybody thinks they want or the blood sport that everybody thinks they want. But, that's just me.
I don't necessarily want blood sport. I think what I want is when these Republicans are working together or they're trying to make a point and they're not listening to the opposite side, this is where I think the Trump supporters, not necessarily the elected officials, won't engage in a conversation. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
I think Trump taught them that, though. I don't think that that's just how Republicans act in Congress. Trump did that. You don't answer questions. You answer the question that they want that you want to answer, not that they asked you. I don't think that. I hear a lot from people that it's jump over the dais and get them, and it's that's not how I want my system to work at all.
I get it.
So this is the last that I have of the FBI hearing, and that is really just Dick Durbin is going to ask this fired FBI agent, Christopher O'Leary, what he thinks the future of the FBI should be, because it's bad under Patel right now.
We're 15 months into this new president, the 48-month term. Damage has been done to the Federal Bureau that you've described as generational damage. What's the future of the FBI?
What the FBI deserves and needs is an unbiased leader, somebody with investigative and operational experience and leadership experience, and a commitment to public service and justice. Unfortunately, I do not see that in the current director. He does not have any background or experience, and he lacks the character and the disposition to carry out the duties that the American people deserve, and the country is less safe under his leadership.
I would agree with that.
I mean, but this is the other thing too. So I besides the fact that I feel like once the new person who comes into office is going to have a lot of shit to clean up, I want to know, like, I want to know how much damage was caused from the last 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot. It's going to be decades worth of fixing. Let's skip this section.
By the way, ignore the vehicle that just scurried off. I don't know what's going on inside.
So this was, we're going to move to some stuff on Mullins and some immigration stuff. I'm going to put it together since he's now going to be in charge of DHS. But this is Representative Pete Sessions. He was on C-SPAN, and he was asked about Mark Wayne Mullins, and he is going to give his opinion on how well he's going to do in this job. It's a great answer.
Mark Wayne is a person who, while may not be skilled in all the policy aspects, he is skilled in reading people and understanding the importance of the operation to the nation. So that's where
his job is policy. His job is going to be to understand the policy, hopefully better than Kristi Noem did. To follow the policy better than Kristi Noem did, to not violate the policy. Right, Rob, he's a people person. No, I need him to understand policy. I need him to follow policy. Why is that an acceptable answer for you? Why? Because you glaze his taint. You don't actually care. You don't care. You just want to get the brown people out.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, I'm gonna get. This is a little segue. It's still Mullins, which is why I have it in here before we get to actual serious immigration, because, I just got to make fun of the idiots that are a part of this administration. So this is a conversation, one of two that I have, in regards that him and his wife did some sort of interview thing. God knows. Right, exactly, Law. His whole job is to literally understand, recommend, and implement policy, but he can read people, Law, so it's fine. But this is Mullins and his wife doing some sort of interview. This is the level of intelligence or lack thereof that we're dealing with.
Anyway, so finally, we were able to have our first kiddo there, Jim. And kid you not, he was 7 months old when I found out I was pregnant with our second son. I was like, woo, that's no joke.
By the way, you can get pregnant breastfeeding. Yes. It's a myth. It's a myth.
Yeah, anyway, so...
I'm sorry. Did we think you can't get pregnant while breastfeeding? Did we think that when women are breastfeeding, we just have magic that keeps us from not getting pregnant? But it's okay, guys, because him and his wife have a very, very healthy relationship. It's very healthy.
Also, didn't you do some MMA fighting as well?
Actually, we both. I fought professionally for a few years, and so did my wife. She was a kickboxer.
Yeah.
And so, when we have arguments, we stay across the room from each other.
Our sparring sessions could have been a little bit of domestic violence.
That's probably
It's so funny to laugh about physically fighting your spouse.
Hey, that might be
a fine line.
Also,
DV is so funny. That's the person that we put in charge of DHS. But all right, let's get back to this is Senator Schiff with Senator Curtis talking about how the negotiations are going in funding DHS. They're talking to Joe Kernan over here on CNBC. The negotiations are not going well because the senators were all on the same page, relatively. We saw that. I played that for you yesterday or the day before, where John Kennedy said that John Kennedy said that they were all for the deal to fund TSA, FEMA, CISA, and the Coast Guard. They were going to work with the Democrats and fund that, push it forward finally after blocking it over 7-8 times now, and that they would do a budget reconciliation, which would be a simple majority vote for ICE, and they would just need Republicans to do that. They wouldn't need Democrats to do that, and they would fund the remainder. They brought that to Donald Trump. Kennedy and Majority Leader John Thune did. And Trump said, no. Which is interesting. But here is Democratic Senator Schiff and Republican Senator Curtis with Joe Kernan, who apparently can't fathom that they would actually bipartisanly work together to try to fund very specific things that aren't ICE. Because remember, ICE is still being funded because of the big, beautiful bill.
I think that before we fund, for example, ICE agents or Customs and Border Protection, we should insist on certain safeguards, namely that they operate with the same standards we ask of a local police department.
And that's the big thing, right? It's not that the Democrats are just being mean. They have killed people in the streets. They've killed U.S. citizens in the streets, not to mention the immigrants that we know have been killed as well in ICE custody and CBP custody. So yeah, we need some reining in. We need some fucking restrictions. So the Democrats are not going to fund that. They will fund everything else. They have said that for the last 2 weeks. We will fund everything else, but not ICE.
We're asking neither more nor less than a local police department. So before I approve funding for those agencies, given the abuses we have seen, given the blood we've seen in the streets, that's something I want to see happen. Now, I don't want to hold up the rest of what DHS does. So I fully have supported vote after vote. I think we've had 10 votes to fund TSA.
It's a carve-out.
Supported and offered.
It's a carve-out. It's not a clean bill. It's not a clean DHA funding bill, which has been the business as usual for the way it's usually done. Once again, it's
the business as usual right now is people getting killed in the streets. So I'm not for that business as usual. But I also don't want to see the Coast Guard funding held up or FEMA funding held up or TSA funding held up. And we should, I think, narrow down to the things we disagree and keep negotiating on that. With respect to other things, we should fund them. And I think most immediately, we need to get those TSA security people paid and address those long lines at the airports.
So why won't Trump do that? Why won't Trump allow them, even though they don't need his fucking permission, to fund those things? Somebody said how many how many citizens have been killed by illegal immigrants. You can actually find that number. If you go ahead and look, it's going to give it to you over the last 40 years is the number that it's going to give you for the studies that they've done. But you can go and find that. Nobody here is agreeing with that either. But I also don't want ICE to be fucking murdering people in the street. But luckily for us, it's not going well in court for them. So we had Judge McConnell rules that an immigration judge's detention order was so cursory, relying on an entirely unsupported claim that a detainee was a member of a gang in El Salvador more than a decade ago, that the decision was unconstitutional. They give you the little link. I have it in my outline. It will be in my outline in my Discord. But we're going to read it here. The DHS attorney conceded that she had not filed any evidence with the immigration court to support this accusation. Even so, the DHS attorney asked what she be I'll read it again. Even so, the DHS attorney asked that she be taken at her word because the I-213 simply spoke for itself. That DHS could not be bothered to introduce evidence to substantiate this allegation of gang membership is baffling, considering that the agency claims in the I-213 to be in possession of such evidence. Indeed, Mr. Espana's attorney aptly characterized DHS's position as resting on nothing more than a purely unsupported accusation of gang membership. And this was at the bond hearing. Why would I believe anything? And why would I want to continue to fund an organization that even admits that they did not submit evidence for a case? They're just accusing people of being gang members without any proof and just saying, well, the I-213 speaks for itself. The I-213 is asserting that there is proof that you have yet to provide. You are using it like a fucking circle, a paradox, to justify it. That's also true, Opal. Illegals who kill are punished. ICE terrorists, so far, are not. Here's the DOJ admitting to mistakes. In this letter, they throw ICE under the bus. They admit that they made material mistakes in their representation. So I'm going to read you some of this. I know it's hard because it is Twitter, so it's like far away. Actually, let me I wrote it down so I could find it, I'm pretty sure. Or I found the actual one. Okay, can you open this bigger? No? Oh my god. You're gonna be a pain in the butt for me, aren't you? Hold on. Sure, let's do it this way. Okay. We write respectfully and regrettably to correct a material mistaken statement of fact that the government made to the court and plaintiffs. Specifically this morning, counsel from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, informed the undersigned of the following. The memorandum entitled Civil Immigration Enforcement Actions in or Near Courthouses, dated May 27, 2025, which the government relied on in presenting its arguments in this case and referred to as the 2025 ICE guidance, does not and has never applied to civil immigration courts. Does not and has never applied to civil immigration enforcement actions in or near executive office or immigration review, immigration courts. Meaning they cannot come pick people up at immigration court. That is what the DOJ is saying. ICE is not allowed to use that as a justification. Attached to this letter is an email memorandum dated March 19, 2026, which the undersigned attorneys also received for the first time today, that was sent to ICE enforcement and removal operations personnel as a reminder that the May 27, 2025 guidance does not apply to Executive Office for Immigration Review, immigration courts, regardless of their location. In light of the fact that the 2025 ICE guidance does not apply to immigration court arrests, the government withdraws those portions of its briefs and the statements made at the September 2nd, 2025 oral argument that relied on the 2025 ICE guidance to correct the record before the court. The government recognizes that the court's September 12, 2025 opinion and order and plaintiff's briefs, all of which relied on the government's prior representations regarding the applicability of the 2025 ICE guidance. Law. Yeah, this just created a bunch of new habeas petitions here in Minnesota, just did 3 today. Yeah, because if you were relying on this, which the DOJ is now saying you cannot use, you're going to have a whole bunch of new habeas petitions. I'm fake news. I am reading a letter filed by the U.S. Department of Justice to the Southern District of New York. The Honorable P. Kevin Castile, United States District Judge. That is who they sent this to. Because this case, African Communities Together versus Lyons, if you guys don't know, because I know you guys don't know, Todd Lyons is the acting director of ICE. So I'm just reading it. Where was that other part that I wanted to read? Let's see. Okay. The undersigned were specifically informed by ICE that the 2025 ICE guidance applied to immigration court arrests. In addition, we discussed with and obtained the approval of assigned ICE counsel before filing every brief in this case and making any oral representations to the court and plaintiffs. You can't use it for that. But they were. Thank you for calling the stream. Can I get your age, state, and who you voted for?
Hey, I voted for Trump. I'm from Nevada.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 39.
All right. Why are you still supporting Trump?
So the reason is because you're probably aware with the ICE agents trying to deport illegals, but especially most of them are criminals, and you have nice titties, fuck, piss, shit, piss, fuck, dick, ass, fuck.
I didn't even hang up on him. He hung up on himself. That's all you got? That's all you got?
Was that his ideas of slurring?
I think so. I was waiting because I had my finger on the button waiting for the slur. Those aren't slurs, my guy, which I'm glad. Good for you. I'm glad that you can cuss like a 13-year-old.
I was gonna say, like, the fuck were you doing?
Guys, over here on TikTok, though, 127 of you, you guys are doing fucking fantastic with the likes. I am so proud of you. Your partners will be proud of you because your muscles in your fingers are fucking fantastic. The dexterity is there, and we love that for you. We are almost at 100,000 likes already, and I have another hour left to go. So I appreciate that. It did sound like a track skipping captain. Guys, but I do have 9-0 left in my goal. I don't like doing this, but this is my job. This is how I pay my bills. I am saving up for when I finally get the title to my car. I can do a trade-in on my car, and with the money I have saved up, hopefully not have as big of a monthly payment. I need a car. I am tired of being driven around like Miss Daisy, so if you guys could contribute to that, I would appreciate it. The pay links are in my bio, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Even if we can get a $1 train going or a $2 train going, that would be wonderful, and we can keep doing this every day. Okay, and then I had these videos of, again, this is just further proof of why we are not funding ICE. There's a reason why the Democrats are refusing to fund ICE without having limitations. And it is things like this, which is Representative Garcia, or Robert Garcia had a hearing talking to the superintendent of the school that Liam Ramos went to, and also spoke to a student, a 17-year-old, I think he was. He might have been younger than that. He might have been 15, who was tackled, choked, and called slurs by the ICE agents. So we're going to play that. I just had to get it so I can get it on big screen because it's like 2 videos in one tweet. I hate when they do that.
First of all, you're all incredibly courageous. Thanks for being here. Superintendent, thank you for your testimony and for your leadership. I know it's been very difficult. You testified about the trauma that you are seeing in your schools, to the children, to the families. You've reported that federal immigration agents have circled your schools, coming into school parking lots and following school buses. Unreal, not acceptable, and every American should be concerned with what's happening in schools across the country. Now, Liam Ramos was one of your students. We've gotten to know Liam's story. Now, we also know that Liam was used as bait to lure his mother from her home so that she could be arrested. Simple question, is Liam a criminal?
Absolutely not.
Does targeting your students like Liam do anything to make our country safer?
Absolutely not.
The administration claims to be going after the worst of the worst. That is a complete lie. Is Liam the worst of the worst?
He's a great kid.
A great kid, and they are hurting 5-year-olds. Liam and his family are from Ecuador.
Which, by the way, since this hearing, the DHS is going through the process of removal. They're going through the courts to try to remove Liam Ramos and his family.
Yep.
He was denied.
Well,
their asylum claim was denied, and they are now trying to remove them.
The other thing I think people don't understand, and I'm gonna turn on my camera. I know Tube won't see it, but I want people over here to understand. I have talked to a lot of my teacher friends, teacher associates, stuff like that. There has been training for educators for when their students possibly get picked up from ICE. There has been trainings since they have gone into school buildings and school premises. I don't think people genuinely understand this.
They don't care. That's
right.
So, Ack, thank you for the $5 super chat. A little bit for your car. I'll talk to you in RTP's Discord later. Just found your live new subscriber. Thank you, guys. I do appreciate those of you who I interact with in RTP's Discord all the time. I had somebody yesterday who was very mad at me saying, do you just do what RTP does? I says, no. We all do the same thing, so we cross-platform, and I don't know how many times I have to say, if you want to watch RTP instead of me, please do. He is a wonderful creator, but thank you so much for your support. Also, Olive, thank you for the 10. I love the little, I love you, tomorrow, today, always, forever. It's so cute. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. No, Ivy, that's another thing I don't think people truly understand. With the dismantling of the Department of Education, you're also leaving up these teachers to make choices on their own.
Oh, we're gonna get into some teacher robot later if I have time, so that's gonna be fun.
I hated that shit.
So that's fun.
They're immigrants. Liam.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to put some humanity behind it because
they just don't have it though.
I know, but I'm saying us who do care about it, there are things we can do and continue to do until the dawn of time.
Ack, leave me alone. Took me long enough. How long does it take RTP to read your messages? Don't even. Ooh. You want to compare? Ooh. We'll compare, Ack. Peepaw, don't pay attention to you. Who was I talking to in the Discord while I was live? Y'all, because I love you. Yeah, RTP does not take callers anymore, which I don't blame him. Well, and he makes them go through Discord, which is fair too. If they want it, they got to work for it. But I agree. There should be a humanity aspect to it, but we know they don't care because we argued about Liam Ramos. We argued about the circumstances regards to Liam Ramos and how he was sent to the Dilley facility in Texas and what was happening to him. These people do not care.
Actually won't even wear that hat anymore because he's scared to identify himself.
Oh,
He
you're
was
talking to
taken
Mike?
Dilley
Okay.
Detention
Makes sense.
Center, over 1,000 miles away. This is a place where hundreds of children have been locked up and held. This place, parents and immigration lawyers have described children there losing weight, finding worms in their food, suffering severe mental health challenges, getting inadequate medical treatment, and even standing in line for hours to get a single dose of medication. Some have suffered emergencies while being detained. Now, is it also true that there were 7 other children that were detained from your schools?
Seven of my students were detained. 6 ended up at Dilley.
This should disgust every single person that hears the story. And I want to thank you. It's an outrage. Innocent kids are suffering because of what's happening right now across this country.
And we saw there was that huge measles outbreak in Dilley that they actually couldn't even get people on planes to deport them because of that. Connor, thank you for the 10 over there on the Green app. I appreciate you. Here's some cash to piss off the maggots. Yeah, they don't like it when I just, make money. That's apparently they hate capitalism. I didn't know that. W commies. I didn't know that MAGA were commies. W, you little MAGA commies, you. I'm so proud of you for coming around to communism finally. Since you don't like the capitalism that people like to show me. Let's get into a little bit of corruption here, shall we? Some grifting, some corruption. Because we talked about yesterday about Mueller, right? So we were talking about people like Paul Manafort. We were talking about people like Roger Stone. And we were talking about people like Michael Flynn. Well, the DOJ has reached a financial settlement with Michael Flynn, the conservative activist and former Trump advisor who sought millions for what he alleged was a politically motivated prosecution. No dollar details in the court notice today. More to come. God, what are we doing here? Michael Flynn was convicted. He was pardoned by Donald Trump. He then is suing us for politically motivated prosecution, and apparently our government is just giving him a settlement for that. So we get to pay for Michael Flynn. Fun. Why are you guys okay with that? That it's wild, the corruption scheme. Wild. Let's get into more corruption, which is Representative Jamie Raskin talking about the Board of Peace. This is a long clip. If you guys were in RTPs yesterday, you can skip me right now if you want to, because I know he played this yesterday. But I did want to get into some of this corruption in regards to the Board of Peace. We talked about it when Trump spoke about it at Davos, spoke about the Board of Peace in and of itself. This is not... It's got RTP on my lip. This is not a governmental entity. The Board of Peace is not a governmental entity. It is not a governmental division. It is a private thing. I don't know what to call it. A private thing that Donald Trump has set up where he has made himself the chairman for life of the Board of Peace. And he has gotten all the worst motherfucking people on the board with him. All the dictators, all the genocidal maniacs, society. Sure, society is a good word, leftist. Private club. Yeah. It's a private club.
I mean, it's a group of people that don't want to. I think people need to understand that. It's a way for him to continue to make money as he is currently the sitting person in office. Also, I was going to say something, but Matt came in and I'm not going to be rude to Matt. But
You're not going to be rude to Matt?
You know,
Be rude to Matt. What'd Matt
do a small L, Matt, in the chat. Not a capital L, a lowercase L.
What'd he do?
That's just because he's Matt.
Okay. So yeah,
Matt knows I love him.
This is Jamie Raskin talking about the Board of Peace. He's going to talk about the corruption in regards to funneling them money. I do have the clip that I have played before where Trump was at Davos and pledged $10 billion of American U.S. taxpayer treasury fucking money, our money, towards the Board of Peace. He is literally in your face funneling money to himself and his buddies, and you guys don't care. You don't care about the corruption. We know this because when we started talking about the corruption, not even with the Board of Peace yet, but with his cryptocurrency, him literally creating a competitor to the US dollar to bring the dollar down, they asked Mike Johnson about that, and he said, well, at least he's doing it in your face. That was Mike Johnson's response. Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be somewhere in between the chairman of the full committee and the distinguished chairman of the subcommittee. Thank you, Director Squires, for joining us today. As head of the PTO, your job is to promote stability in the market for goods and services by protecting trademarks that are used in interstate commerce. In pursuit of the mission, the USPTO has for decades been removed from political intrigue, favoritism, and controversy. By keeping politics out, prior presidents and USPTO directors ensured that applicants had a fair and honest system to rely on. It seemed to change last year. You and President Trump injected partisan politics into the work of the PTO, from working to strip trademark examiners of any right to collective bargaining, a right that they'd enjoyed for many decades, and firing the members of the patent and trademark oversight bodies, to refusing to respond to congressional requests for information. Your tenure seems to...
Daniel, you can call the number and we can have conversations based off of factual evidence and not your feelings. Show me any proof about the fraud that the Democrats allowed with home health care and illegals. The Democrats didn't allow anything. You don't know what you're talking about because you just watched Nick Shirley. You didn't watch the CBS special about the fact that, yeah, there is fraud within the hospice system, but what you don't know is that 4 years ago, California already put a moratorium on instituting new hospice licenses. California knew what was going on, Nick Shirley, and you didn't. And then you slurred. Well, me and my mods will get you for that one. Awesome. While we're sitting here, before I start the video, Amy Lynn, thank you so much for the 5 over on the Blue app. You're doing a great job. You have similar style to RTP, but nobody is RTP. That is true. LOL, you're doing great and glad you're another option. Thank you so much for being here and supporting because RTP is not here. I haven't recommended RTP enough. I honestly haven't. Like I said, yesterday somebody literally said, so you just do what RTP does? I said, no, I have a similar format to RTP because I don't want to sit here for 2 hours and talk to myself. I would rather have a specific outline that I like to go through. We tend to cover the same things because it's the same news. We're both political commentators. But again, I have said multiple times, if you have not watched RTP's segment on the PayPal Mafia, you need to. If you don't understand why we got J.D. Vance as our vice president and who Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin and Alex Karp are and Elon Musk, you need to. We love RTP here. Or at least I do. That's just my personal opinion.
To be threatening the traditional integrity and non-political nature of our system. You recently took an extraordinary and unprecedented action. Earlier this year, the USPTO itself filed trademark applications on behalf of Donald Trump's ill-defined private multi-billion-dollar global project called the Board of Peace. President Trump has declared himself chairman for life of this elusive entity. He's promised billions of dollars from the taxpayers to the board, although Congress has not voted a single dollar for it. And he has secured billions of dollars from mostly corrupt foreign governments, including Saudi Arabia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Bahrain, Qatar, Uzbekistan, and Kuwait. Beyond that, there's not much we know about this shadowy venture. We don't know its basic corporate structure. We don't know whether it's a registered entity anywhere in the United States or in any other country. We don't know who controls the billions of dollars in its bank accounts. We don't know what countries those bank accounts are located in. We don't know who will conduct audits and oversight of the board, if anyone. And we don't know what the president intends to do with this massive, secret, unaccountable slush fund while he's in office and after he leaves. Yet, when the Board of Peace decided it wanted to secure a trademark for its name and for its logo, a move that should have required it to identify the legal entity that actually runs it and controls its billions of dollars, you stepped in. You personally filed the trademark applications, allowing USPTO to stand in as a straw trademark holder to cover up for this slush fund that appears to put both billions of U.S. taxpayer funds and billions in payments from foreign governments into the pocket of the chairman for life, Donald Trump, who will control it. The president set up a board that likely violates both the foreign and the domestic emoluments clauses, and now you're helping to run the operation, as far as we can tell.
He is using government entities to pave the way. Now you want a slushy. It's crazy, Ashby. Sorry, get distracted. He is using government entities to pave the way for him to funnel U.S. taxpayer money, to funnel contracts into the Board of Peace, which is a fund not for the government that he's in charge of. And all you guys can do is yell about Democrats. Democratic fraud, which you've not given me democratic fraud. If you're talking about fraud happening, fraud happens in states. What are you doing about it? You're not doing anything about it. The states are. Yeah, Rob, the mustache man did do this with trademarks. Because there's a difference between nationalizing and like oligarchy. Why are you guys okay with him doing this, actually? That would be my question. Why are you okay with him doing this? You're okay with him doing this because other people commit fraud, so it's okay that he uses it to funnel taxpayer money? Because I'm not okay with any fraud. I would like all the fraud to be caught. Democrats do the most crimes of corruption. That's not true. How many people with tax fraud has Donald Trump pardoned? You guys don't actually give a fuck about fraud. You just, whatever Donald Trump wants to do, I would love to lick his taint and let him do it. Doge did cost more than it saved. That's also true. And they took our private data. Yay!
What's more, I'm not sure that either you or the Trump administration realize what you're confessing by filing a trademark application. You're admitting that the Board of Peace is not a legitimate governmental body, but rather a commercial enterprise set up by President Trump. Our trademark law began in 1879 when the Supreme Court struck down a trademark law that applied to any and all organizational designations. The court ruled that Congress could do so only under the Commerce Clause. So when Congress passed the Trademark Act of 1881, it was written to apply only to marks used in interstate commerce. The modern version of the Lanham Act in 1946 makes clear it only protects trademarks used in interstate commerce. Section 1052B specifically forbids the registration of any insignia of the United States or any state or municipality or any foreign nation or any other governmental body. So by filing for a trademark, you're admitting that the Board of Peace is not really a governmental entity at all. It's a purveyor of influence operating for profit with apparently $1 billion admission fee, at least that's what's been reported in the press. A money laundering scheme to pocket the billions, all made in a global shakedown in the name of peace.
Pat, you said all the fraud would have never come to light if Kamala would have won. They would have kept covering it up. How is that true when we know that the Feeding Our Future fraud in Minnesota, which is not daycare fraud because all you guys do is watch Nick Shirley, the real fraud that happened in Minnesota was from Feeding Our Future from a white woman named Amy Bach that was prosecuted under the Biden administration. What are you talking about?
They're so... I actually just came up here for a moment to complain about men in relationships, okay? So... Paulie steals the covers like every night, right? And so he's still asleep when I leave and go to work. And I'm like in the middle of the bed just with the tiniest amount of covers, right? Mm-hmm. So I come home with lunch and he did move the blanket back over the bed the wrong way.
Oh, God.
Yesterday it was upside down. So it was the other side up, right? And I'm like, I mean, it is a reversible quilt. I get it, but no, I want the pattern on the outside.
That's why you gotta kick men out of the bed. That's what I do.
I know. It's just like, and then now the pattern, which is supposed to be at the bottom of the bed, is over the side of the bed, and I'm like, we are flying out tomorrow, so I could have just left it, but no, I could not.
John Johnson, go ahead and call the number on your screen, and I would like you to prove to me where illegal aliens were stealing money from the taxpayers. Show me with proof. I would love to see that. I've asked for it multiple times with multiple people, and they can't give that to me. Don't give me it's common sense. Don't give me you can't see it with your own eyes. I want proof. That's not CIS or FAIR, because they don't actually have proof.
Now, as far as I can tell, the USPTO has just 9 trademarks. 4 are various logos for your office, some of which read USPTO. Others have the full name of the agency written out. IS Patent and Trade Office. 3 more are for the phrases go for real and you're smart, buy smart, phrases that were part of a public awareness campaign that the USPTO itself ran with the National Crime Prevention Council. The other 2 are now for the mysterious Board of Peace, which has no organizational relationship, I believe, whatsoever to the USPTO. So by agreeing to act as President Trump's phone a friend and using the PTO to register a trademark on behalf of a third party, it would seem you're violating a cardinal principle of the Lanham Act, which explicitly lays out in subsection B that only, quote, a person who has a bona fide intention under circumstances showing the good faith of such person to use a trademark in commerce, who may request registration of the trademark. That's quite a problem for the agency whose role it is to administer and police the registration of trademarks and to administer disputes about them. One can only imagine this decision will get challenged, and there will be litigation over the mark that you have now claimed as your own for the PTO before your agency, which is charged.
John Johnson, they try. What is... John Johnson says, well, if he's violating a rule, charge him or shut up. All these people do is say things without proof. No, he is violating the Emoluments Clause. What do you do with a president who's violating the Constitution? What are you supposed to do? What's the next step?
It starts with an I. I can't remember how it's pronounced. It's like...
I think it happened to him twice already.
Yeah, it's called like impeachment. I don't know. Y'all can help me out.
Encroachment? No.
No, that's not it. It does start with an I. You're using an E there.
Oh, you're right.
It's like I'm peach. I'm peach.
Impeachment. That's the one.
Oh.
Impeachment.
Oh, yeah,
have they filed articles of impeachment on him in this presidency?
The Democrats have. It hasn't moved anywhere.
Right. So until the Republicans get on board about giving a fuck about him violating the Constitution, it's not going to go anywhere. The Republicans don't care that he violates the Emoluments Clause. The Republicans don't care that he violates the Constitution.
File articles of impotence.
Of impotence.
That's
okay.
Hilarious.
Charged with being the neutral adjudicator of disputes about trademarks. The only reason anyone ever registers a trademark is to prevent competing uses.
Bye.
Why would the Trump administration tell you to file for this registration except to suppress anyone else's trademark related to the word peace? The field is crowded with existing registrations by other educational purveyors of global peace. To give a few examples I found online this morning: World Peace Table, World Peace Network, Project Peace, Peace Vision Global, Global Peace Initiative, Global Peace Foundation, International Peace Center.
John Johnson's The Emoluments Clause. By creating a board of peace and funneling 10 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars into it that was not agreed upon by Congress, that he is in charge of. That is not a governmental entity. Taking a plane from Qatar, all this money he's pouring into his presidential library that will belong to him when he leaves, all violate the Emoluments Clause. Do we not remember the days where poor Jimmy Carter had to give up his family peanut farm? We don't care about that anymore? Okay.
Peace Network, Peace Action, the Peace Trust, Greenpeace. Any one of these organizations would have a strong case to sue for cancellation of Trump's Board of Peace trademark on the grounds that it dilutes and infringes their own pre-existing trademarks for peace facilitation services. And also, of course, that this mark is not registrable at all, since it purports to identify a governmental entity.
It's fine, guys. Don't worry about John. John said that the plane that they took from Qatar, the deal was set up under Joe Biden. Uh-huh.
And not an organization in interstate commerce. Not only would you have to decide whether Trump has a defense to prior users' opposition to his marks, you would have to rule on any offensive use of trademark law by Trump against any of the other groups. Let's say he moves to attack Greenpeace for infringement of his commercial trademark or opposes registration of any new organization that uses peace in its name. Who would adjudicate this? You would, your office. You're both the owner and you're the judge of any rights that you have as an owner against anyone who wants to identify their organization with the word peace. This is not just a disreputable use of the trademark registration process, it's the first step in giving Donald Trump and his subordinates a monopoly on use of the word peace, to make the very notion of peace unthinkable if it departs from control of the new big brother who now owns it. If President Trump can't win the Nobel Peace Prize he craves because he plunged us into an aggressive war of choice in the Middle East, now he'll just own the word peace instead. I wrote to you last week, Director Squires, asking about this elusive entity, an unprecedented, baffling situation. If there's a reasonable explanation for the USPTO's conduct here, we'd like to hear it today. Because if you simply filed on behalf of the Board of Peace as a favor to the president, then that's a serious problem. A decision like that doesn't just drag the USPTO into covering up for a slush fund that may violate both the foreign and domestic emoluments clauses. It's bad for the integrity of our trademark laws. When people lose faith in the fairness and objectivity of our system, it begins to fall apart. So I'm not just troubled that you may be violating the basic trademark rules. I'm troubled that in violating the rules to help Donald Trump, you may be acting as a political operative in a way that will destroy our neutral system for regulating source-identifying trademark rights. The trademark system is designed to protect everyone. If applicants think that the rules change for the wealthy and the politically well-connected, they're much less likely to believe the system can work for them. I look forward today to finding out how you justify your agency registering a commercial mark for this alleged governmental entity, if that's what it is, how you intend to resolve disputes with the dozens of past and future registrants of peace organizations, and what you intend to do to restore the professional, nonpartisan reputation of the USPTO. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. Thank you, Mr.
You guys can keep coming after me without understanding the fact that Donald Trump is just funneling money. And I'm going to show you where he admits that he wants to put that amount of money from U.S. tax dollars into this private board of peace that he is the chairman of for life. First, though, I'm going to do thank you for the 5 on the green app from Peter for because he said RTP couldn't handle your placenta. That's true, he could not. And if you were to tell him that, he would go red in the cheeks. So thank you. Ooh. Which cheeks would be the question. We're not going to do that, but thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. That brings our goal down to 60. Guys, I am on for 30 more minutes. If we could get that goal accomplished, I would really, really appreciate it. John Johnson really wanted me to look up his claim. He wanted me to do his homework of his claim that the Qatari jet, that deal was started by Biden. Do you want to know where that claim came from? Do you know where John Johnson got that from? You guys will never guess it. You guys will never guess who fucking said it. It's not true. Breed got it. Good job, Breed. It was Mark Wayne motherfucking Mullins. This is Fox News. Republican says Biden started controversial negotiations for backup Air Force One. This conversation, quote, this conversation started with Qatar with Biden a year ago, Senator Mark Wayne Mullin.
I'm going to pin you down on what you're trying to do. You know, are you trying to say that as of January 20th, that President Trump will be president?
Where is it playing?
Well, that depends on what happens.
Why is it playing my Josh Hawley clip from earlier? Jesus. We would believe Mark Wayne Mullins would have that information. Why? Why would we believe that Mark Wayne Mullins has that information? Why would we believe that? John Johnson, where'd you go? Did you leave, buddy? Thank you, Black Jesus. I do appreciate you divinely hitting play on the video we already played. I appreciate you for that. Senator Mark Wayne Mullins of Oklahoma recently claimed that widely criticized negotiations with Qatar over a $400 million Air Force One temporary replacement gift began under the Biden administration, not after President Donald Trump took office. Where's the proof of that? Miller had been privy to a recent conversation with the Qataris when the information about the Biden administration's reported role was gleaned, according to his spokesperson. What? And that he'd give the media a pass for not knowing about the reported Biden-era negotiations with the Doha Agreement. Does anywhere in the Doha Agreement talk about us getting a plane from Qatar? You guys believe Mark Wayne Mullen? Interesting. You guys don't actually care. You don't care. You just want to glaze his taint. That's all you care about. So let's go into some more corruption here within the Trump family. This is about oh my God, this is Don Jr. Don Jr. has a capital investment firm called 1789. It has made a huge investment recently into rare earth mineral company called Vulcan Elements. And it received a $620 million loan from the Pentagon and $50 million from the Commerce Department. It is being investigated by Representatives Grijalva, Representative Huffman, Representative Dexter, and Representative Ansari. Because what the fuck? Why are you guys okay with all this corruption? Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden didn't do this.
Hey everyone, well I am here in the
because he's the head of the Secret Squirrels is crazy, Joe.
Natural Resources Committee, and we just had an extraordinary thing happen. So, ranking member Huffman, tell us what just happened.
Well, we're here in the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, which is supposed to do oversight and investigations. And there are red flags within this administration that Donald Trump Jr. and other cronies very close to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been lining their own pockets to the tunes of tens of millions of dollars based on some of these deals, including equity stakes in mining companies, loan guarantees that the Pentagon has issued. So the Republicans wanted to have a hearing about mining. And we challenged them to do some real oversight and look into this. And we made a motion to subpoena these insiders, these cronies that are lining their pockets. Instead of debating that motion, instead of allowing any vote on that motion, they moved a table and they shut down the whole hearing. So that's where we are right now.
And ranking member Dexter, you are overseeing the Oversight Committee.
I do apologize for the terrible audio. It sounds like a goddamn high school lunchroom because they're trying to film this while there's a bunch of other people talking.
Tell us what, from your perspective, happened and how this is a miscarriage of oversight.
Yeah, the job of this committee is to make sure that taxpayer dollars are used effectively and that the national interest is advanced. And this committee has absolute jurisdiction over the critical minerals that they are making this case have to be used effectively. Well, $670 million was given to Vulcan, a new startup with 30 employees that has never done any of this work, just 3 months after an executive order waived all fiscal accountability and requirements. And Donald Trump Jr. is...
Right. So Donald Trump wrote an executive order that would lift regulations and lift restrictions on the ability to be able to do this. So I'm going to stop that video there just because that noise is driving me nuts. And we are going to go to the Cato article about it. So there's that. Rare earths, Vulcan, and government equity stakes. The Trump administration is normalizing the idea that the federal government should take partial ownership in private companies under the guise of strengthening vulnerable supply chains. That's communism. An example of this is the administration's plan to take an ownership stake in Vulcan Elements, a rare earth magnet startup. While the strategic concern is real, partial federal ownership of private companies is both unnecessary and undesirable. If Washington wants more domestic rare earth magnet capacity, why not just buy the magnets? Clearly, regulatory obstacles exist, but letting firms compete rather than try to pick champions would be preferable market approach. Where was this one? Vulcan, attracted $65 million in private capital last August, including an investment from 1789 Capital, the venture firm associated with Donald Trump Jr. A few months later, the Commerce Department announced a non-binding letter of intent under the CHIPS Act that would provide $50 million in proposed incentives and give the government $50 million of equity in Vulcan. The Department of Defense's Office of Strategic Capital later announced a $620 million conditional loan commitment to Vulcan and an $80 million conditional loan commitment to Re-Element Technologies, Vulcan's processing partner in the middle of the supply chain, while also taking warrants in both companies. It's worth noting that Vulcan had already won $5.7 million in Defense Department business dating back to 2024 before the Trump administration decided to make Uncle Sam a part owner. The fact that Trump Jr.'s fund invested in Vulcan does not prove that the administration deal was awarded because of it. Bloomberg reports that the company, Trump Jr. in 1789, all deny any connection, regardless the optics are terrible, and it still doesn't let the administration off the hook. The federal government is now choosing favored firms that in any other environment wouldn't receive financial support without serious validation and technical achievements. Taking ownership positions blurs the lines between industrial policy, political power, and private profit, mirroring an approach similar to China's and one the U.S. should avoid emulating. So yeah, our government was trying to do deals with Vulcan Elements beforehand, but now that Donald Trump's in office, his son is investing into these specific things that they're giving contracts to. That's where the corruption is. That's where the problem is they're pick and choosing the hobby horses they want to fund, and it's all to do with either his kids or their friends having stake in those companies. And that's a problem. I think it's a problem. Okay, for the last bit of this is there were nominees for judicial appointments. There was a hearing on their nominations. This one in particular, her name is Cara Marie Westerkamp. She's a nominee for a judge's seat in the trade court. This is the person who would be in charge, possibly, of litigating tariffs, making decisions on the tariffs, the constitutionality of tariffs. So Trump's nominee to trade court apologized for past social media posts. A White House lawyer nominated by President Donald Trump to serve on the court hearing litigation over his tariffs apologized on Wednesday for past social media posts in which she criticized U.S. senators and discussed controversial topics like the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Cara Westerkamp's Twitter post and her role advising Trump on sweeping global tariffs that the U.S. Supreme Court struck down last month dominated senators' questioning during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on her nomination on the U.S. Court of International Trade. And I will get into some of that questioning. But first, I'm going to show you some of her tweets that she had. So this is her Twitter account. An Iowa transplant to the East Coast, 2003 American honey princess, proud Iowa Hawkeye, Republican, MAGA, CAG. I don't know what CAG is, if somebody knows what CAG is. Opinions of my own. This is one of her tweets. It's a reply tweet. Strange or just a typical day in the handy guide for how Democrats win elections. If you cheat, you win. Oh, that's great. Really confident in that. This one, Jonathan Turley said a court had to order Fulton County to remove posters blocking the view of observers and to force the county to allow observers to move closer 10 feet. What is astonishing is that the Georgia officials forced such reasonable requests to be litigated in the court. Again, this is 2021. She said, grow a pair, Jonathan Turley. Democrats are perfecting the art of cheating and you're surprised. Oh, we love election deniers, don't we? The Donald Trump administration does. Here we have, it's so delightful to see. Oh, I think it's this one first, right? I don't know how Twitter works, if it's that one first or not. You're like, this is to Lindsey Graham, you're like the Charlie Brown teacher where no one can understand what's being said and there's no action from it. Your history shows that you're true to no one but your own self-preservation. It's so delightful to see Schumer and company's many failed strategies against Cocaina Mitch when they realize that Mitch is playing 4D chess and they're not. So there's some interesting tweets. You need a nap? Yeah, I need a nap too. So let's see, I'll do the montage. So this is a montage of Blumenthal asking these judicial nominees about January 6th and about the election. So guys, over here on Twitter, Jesus Christ, I need a nap. Over here on TikTok, I'm going to need you guys to boop the hell out of that screen, which you guys are doing fantastic on. We are at 165,000 likes. You guys are fucking awesome. I think we can hit 200,000 before I end today. Fucking love that. You guys on YouTube, you're fine. YouTube allows most everything, but I do appreciate your support. TikTok does not like this conversation, so, you know, there's always that. But we're going to play this montage anyway and see how far we get.
The Capitol attack, Mr. Rickey, on January 6th?
There was violence that occurred here on January 6th, Senator.
Was the Capitol attacked?
I would just say, Senator, there was violence that occurred here on that date.
You've seen videos of what happened.
Yes, Senator, I have.
Was the Capitol attacked?
Okay. Again, Senator, I say
Ms. Lane, was the Capitol attacked?
Senator, the characterization of January 6th is subject to ongoing controversy and debate, and as a nominee, it would be inappropriate for me to characterize it.
Who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the Electoral College votes for the president, and then that is certified by Congress. And in 2020, President Biden was certified by the Electoral.
Yeah, that's not
what the fuck he asked. Again, we did this with Mark Wayne, baby back bitch McMullins. We're doing it now. That's not what the fuck they asked you. Yeah, we know who was certified. Who won? Who do you think won? That's a damn big question for somebody who's going to be in charge of our courts and our court systems and having to make impartial judgments. Why does this not bother you guys? I know it's because you also believe the conspiracy theories that she believes. Dawn, if my students gave me answers like this, I would kick them out of my class, but the court is okay? Yeah.
my question. Who won the election?
And again, Senator, under our Constitution, and it's actually...
Well, you know, I know who was certified, and I know what you think of certification.
Little Boyd, if Blumenthal is involved and January 6th was a false flag, if I take you at your word and January 6th was a false flag, why did Donald Trump pardon every single one of them? If these people were there at Joe Biden's direction to hurt Trump's reputation, even though Trump was the president at the time, why did Donald Trump pardon them? 1,600, all of them. Some of them have been rearrested for crimes against children because he didn't look to differentiate about who he was pardoning. He pardoned all of them. By the way, not a popular thing. If it was a false flag, why did Donald Trump pardon them? You can't be on both sides of the argument. You can't. You can't say that they were patriots defending their free speech, defending their beliefs, and Donald Trump pardoned the patriots, and then at the same time say it was some DOJ, FBI, Biden, even though Biden wasn't the fucking president, Donald Trump was, false flag operation. Seek help.
Because you tweeted on January 6th in a post saying, in reference to the 2020 election
Ruben, much
results,
longer than that,
a
sweetheart. Everybody say
certified
hi, Ruben.
lie is still
Bye,
a
Ruben.
lie. I'm asking you, who won the 2020 election? Let me make it more specific. Who won the popular vote?
Again, Senator, under our Constitution, what matters is who the Electoral College votes as.
But I'm not asking you for what the Constitution says. I'm asking you for your view factually. And frankly, we've received this kind of canned, ridiculous answer before, as you know, because you were instructed to give this answer, right?
Senator, I am speaking to what the Constitution, under our Constitution again, and that is actually Article 2,
Let me
as well
ask you
as
this. Who won the 2024 election?
in the 2024 election, again, the Electoral College voted for President Trump, and then the Congress also certified President Trump as
Did
the winner of
Donald
the...
Trump lose the 2020 election?
Senator, that goes back again to under our Constitution, the methodology is set forth in Article 2.
Why can't they just answer? Why can't they just answer? Is 2 + 2 4? Well, if you look at the law of mathematics and you take 2 and you add another 2 onto it, according to the law of mathematics, it is 4. What?
Let's try another question, Ms. Westerkamp. Was the United States Capitol attacked on January 6, 2021?
Senator, again, I condemn all of the violence that occurred on January 6th.
Okay, we're not going to get an answer from you. And let me try Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the mechanism for electing a president is...
Jesus
amazed.
Christ.
I am just amazed by the insult to this committee of witness after witness seeking to be a federal judge.
Hi, Black Jesus. Sorry. I wasn't calling your name to get your attention. Sorry.
Judge subverting our Constitution and showing how you have no independence, which is essential to a federal judge.
Chris said that it was STOLEN, which I'm not going to say because TikTok will get mad. Chris, what proof do you have of that? Because if you have proof that him and his lawyers don't have after all these fucking years, 6 years, over 60 court cases, all dismissed for lack of standing, if you have some sort of proof that his lawyers don't have, you should probably get in contact with his team. 6 years later, he lost. Let it go. But you guys want to put in these fucking conspiracy theorists. But okay, let's move past conspiracy theories. Sure, maybe they're conspiracy theories, but are they qualified? So let's have Schiff talk to this nominee. This is Kathleen Lee. Let's see about her qualifications in order to be a judge, shall we?
Have you ever tried a case to a verdict before a jury?
Senator, I've worked on a bench trial, and as a federal law clerk, I handled 7 trials.
I was a federal law clerk as well. I wouldn't say that I handled the trials. I think the judge handled the trials. But let me ask you about your experience with the bench trial. Were you the lead counsel in that case?
No, Senator, I was part of a small team of attorneys.
Were you the senior associate counsel on the case?
Yes, Senator, I was an associate on the case. There were 4 attorneys on the case. I was responsible for helping prepare witnesses, helping second chair depositions. I also took a deposition myself. I cross-examined a witness at trial, and I was responsible for all the pre-trial and post-trial briefing, findings of facts, conclusions of law.
Opal, how is what I said about 2020 mean that Kamala won 2024? What are you talking about? Kamala lost 2024. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you talking to them? Opal, are you talking to the idiots? Are you talking to Chris? Because I apologize if I came at you and you're talking to Chris. I will say, which is something we've all said. Yeah, it's friendly fire. I apologize. But I will say, as a statement, that if they were trying to steal it, why didn't they try to do it in 2024? We were so good at it in 2020 that you guys still can't prove that they did it. They're such a secret cabal and so good at doing it that they got away with it for 6 years. But for some reason in 2024, we just said, nah, don't need to do it this time. What sense does that make? No, we're good. We're good. We're good. It was my fault. My fault, Opal. Keep getting them. Fuck them up. Take your earrings off first. I'll hold your jewelry.
4 attorneys, how many were more senior to you?
Oh, Kylie, good for you. I changed my oil. I guess I'm a mechanic for Formula One. Yeah, she was a attorney on the team. I guess she can be a judge now.
On that team?
Senator, I believe 2. There were several people who came in to assist, but again, my responsibilities, I was the primary drafter for all the briefing.
No, I heard that. I just want to understand. So your trial experience consists of being the second or third senior lawyer on a bench trial?
Senator, yes, it was a week-long trial involving complicated constitutional issues, and
which I hate when the clips don't let them finish their answers, but we don't need to see more of it. The whole point is that she doesn't sound like she's very qualified for the job that she's going to be in charge of. Just like Westerkamp doesn't sound like she is either. And then Senator Whitehouse goes off on them about their canned answers in regards to January 6th, in regards to their canned answers in regards to the 2020 election. These people are just simps for Trump. That's what he wants. That's what he's always wanted. Unfortunately for him, in his first term, he decided to follow with the establishment Republicans and appoint actual qualified people who gave him guardrails and said, no, sir, we can't do that. And this time he didn't get that. You guys, in your infinite dumb fuckery, decided to vote him back into office regardless of all the crimes you knew he had committed and the things that he wanted to do. But because of your bigotry, your hatred, your distraction of issues that you don't actually give a fuck about, that don't affect you, don't affect your daily life, you voted him back in so he could appoint loyalists who don't give him guardrails and just now direct people around to do whatever they want.
You realize how ridiculous the four of you look, spouting these preposterous, canned answers in a forum in which A, you're supposed to tell the truth, and B, you're supposed to demonstrate the judicial capacity to make independent, factual decisions in hard cases. If you can't even sit here and say that Joe Biden won that election or that the Capitol was attacked, what's left? It would be great if your answers were simple and honest here today. It's really disappointing. You realize
if they get confirmed, their job is meant to be to make objective, impartial decisions within the court. How are they going to do that if they can't do something as simple as state a statement of fact about what happened on January 6th and about what happened in the 2020 election? How are they supposed to do that? All right. I've got like 5 minutes, which means I don't really have time to do much, but I am going to leave you guys with a message. This is actually more for my crunchy leftists than it is for MAGA. I wanted to be able to get this message out. So MAGA, this is me critiquing my own side. You listening? I'm going to critique my own side. You guys take it too far. You guys take it too far. I have no problem with critiquing candidates. I have no problem with promoting progressive candidates that are not taking PAC money. I am always on here saying we need to get rid of Citizens United. We need to end super PACs. I am totally fine with doing all of that. I would prefer to have ranked choice voting in this country to open it up to a broader slew of progressive candidates. However, you guys are so obsessed with looking into anything that just says AIPAC that you no longer are paying attention. You know how I know? Because the website Track AIPAC is no longer paying attention. John Ossoff is the senator, Democratic senator in Georgia. He is running again on his seat. It is a seat that he won by a slim margin. So it's going to be a tough race for him, and he is still yet one of the only Democrats in Congress right now who is openly speaking against Donald Trump, talking about the Epstein files and calling him the Epstein class. That could be true. Ashby, Track AIPAC being a right-wing psyop. Track AIPAC is trying to tell you, they're trying to get to you, leftists, so that you don't vote for Ossoff by saying that they got $5 million by pro-Israel lobby groups and their donors. Oh, one problem with that, which even the community note says, AIPAC has been attacking, not supporting Ossoff's campaign. That money they have spent on Ossoff wasn't for Ossoff. It was against him, in ads against Ossoff. So when we're critiquing our candidates, can we make sure that we're doing it based off of factual information, the same goddamn threshold, the same goddamn standard that we would hold MAGA to in their argumentation? Because I'm sick of it. It is a trigger word for you now. The same way that you have buzzwords in MAGA, it is a buzzword for the left. You guys hear AIPAC and you say, no, I'll never vote for them. But you don't actually know what you're talking about. Purity voters did bring us Donald Trump. I'm not saying you can't expect better, but what are you doing on the ground? Are you phone banking? Are you canvassing? Are you donating and promoting from the grassroots level a candidate? Are you? And no, you also don't. Also, Kinley, that's a great point. You don't have control over who donates to you. I guess you could reject it. I guess they have the capability to reject it. But again, my point was that Track APAC here is wrong. And my concern, as much as my chat is smart and understands how Track APAC can be wrong, there are people who are young, who think they're on the left, who want to vote for better, who want to help the people in Palestine and help the people in this country. And they will read that off of Twitter and they will just take it as truth and run with it. And I just want us to make sure that as we ask MAGA to be critical, we also have to be critical and have the truth. That's all that I wanted. All right. On that note, I appreciate you guys very, very much. MAGA, you hate watched, and that's fine. Thank you guys who came over from RTP. Again, I don't know what happened with RTP. I hope it wasn't any sort of negative family emergency or anything. I'm hoping he just ditched us like he always does to go play golf and hang out with the Rugs. That's what I hope that he did, and that it wasn't a family emergency or anything crazy, but I'm sure that it was him having to do adult things, and that's okay. We love that. But I appreciate anybody who did come over and watch me today. I do appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the super chat over there. Let me go through my thank yous here before I go, because I really always do that. So thank you to Feisty, thank you to Olive, thank you to Amy Lynn, thank you to Connor, thank you to Peter. I appreciate you guys very, very much for your support today. I haven't forgiven RTP for forsaking me is crazy, Black Jesus. And I will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, whatever time that is for you guys. Remember, time zones are woke, but I am in the woke Mountain Time. That's where I am. And I will be back tomorrow. I have like a whole nother thing of my outline we didn't even get to. So we will try to get to that stuff tomorrow. That is my plan, and it'll be Friday. Yay! So thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate it. Let me see over here on TikTok if I want to raid and who. See that Bill's live, but yeah, I think we're just going to get out of here. That's what we're going to do. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, whatever time that is for you guys. Make sure you are following me over here on TikTok, over here on YouTube, and over here on Twitch. And I will be here. You can go and rewatch or catch up if you don't happen to catch me. That's totally fine. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Spend time with friends and family. Do something good for yourself. This politics is a lot. And yeah, we need to make sure that we get through that. Oh, did we almost? Hold on. I don't know what it is. I can't see the number. Did we almost make it? Like almost, or like nah? Hold on, I can't see it. It's a stupid thing. What does it say? 192? Oh, 192. We almost made it, guys. 96% of the way. That little bar is just sitting there sad, isn't it? Darn it. Well, I'll end it over on YouTube and Twitch, and then we'll see if we can finish that on TikTok before I go, because I do want to finish that. But thank you guys over on YouTube and Twitch. I appreciate